The topic today is focaccia made in a cast iron pan. This is smaller than the typical large baking sheet focaccia, so it might be a better option if you don't have that many people to feed. I started with 300 grams of bread flour. This has 13% protein, which is good for focaccia since the hydration is higher. The high protein in the flour helps the bread to keep its structure even with more water on the dough. Next, in goes 6 grams of salt and 6 grams of dry yeast. I'm going to mix these a little bit with the flour and add in 270 grams of water. The yeast said 42 degrees Celsius, so that's what I aimed for. The hydration of this dough is exactly 90%, which is, based on my experience, perfect for focaccia. I'm going to mix these until there is no dry flour left and just forget about it for a while. Let the flour hydrate and the yeast to wake up. Around 1 hour later, the dough has developed a lot. It's risen a lot even though we did not need it at all. On top of that, it does not stick as much as it used to. I'm wetting my hands to prevent it from sticking and pull its corner to the center. This will build strength in the dough, making it rise better and hold the air bubbles inside. Now I'm going to leave this again for at least 1 hour, and a little bit more than 1 hour later I'm going to take my cast iron pan and cover the bottom with some parchment paper. Just in case this will stick, sometimes the oil is not enough. I will add oil to the paper and to the sides of the pan. Use a lot of oil on the sides, everything tends to stick anyway. Then I'm going to do one more set of stretch and folds and transfer the dough to the pan. I will add some more oil to the top of the dough and try to spread it as evenly to the pan as possible. Now I'm going to cover it and let it sit again for an hour, during which I'm going to set my oven to preheat to 225 degrees Celsius or around 440 degrees Fahrenheit. An hour later this goes into the oven and here is a cool time lapse when it's in the oven. I kept it in the oven for around 25 minutes, but adjust the cooking time depending on your oven and personal preferences. And as I suspected, even with a heavy coating of oil, the focaccia stuck to the sides quite badly. I managed to get it off in one piece, but I can only imagine how stuck it would be to the bottom of the pan without the parchment paper. And look at these nice crispy sides. That is the reason to do focaccia in a cast iron pan. You don't get these sides as easily with other oven sheets, at least based on my experience. I'm going to put this on a cooling rack, removing the parchment paper so the bottom can breathe and the focaccia will finish baking from the inside as the temperature evens out. A good 30 minutes later it's finally to cut this focaccia open and see the damage. If you ask me, that looks quite good. It's airy and the bubbles are even in size. Even though I did not ferment the dough overnight in the fridge, this still tasted really good with some butter. This is also a little bit smaller compared to some larger focaccia recipes, so if you are only making this for a couple of people, this size is definitely more convenient.